All right, welcome to another agency webinar hosted by Zonguru, where we give you a peek behind the curtain for elite agency secrets. And certainly today on the panel, we have some elite agencies, so I'm pretty excited to have everyone here. Everyone who's joining, please drop a comment where you're coming in from. It's always nice to see where around the world you're coming in from. Yeah, with that, we're welcoming the panel today. We'll get back to me in a second, but yeah, I'm pretty excited by everyone who's on here. I think I would safely say that the team here on the panel are at the cutting edge of e-commerce growth and how to really navigate our challenges. So this is going to be a great one, and I'm excited. So let's start with you, Jess. Do you want to introduce yourself, where you're at, and what you're going to talk about today?
Yeah, so I am Jessica Wright. I am CEO of AO2, full service Amazon and retail media agency. I am in Southern Colorado, where we are experiencing an insane windstorm. So I don't know, hopefully you guys can't hear the wind while I'm talking, but it's a little wild today. As long as the weather cooperates, I will be talking about scaling profitably on Amazon.
Awesome. All right, two Andrews. Let's start with Andrew Matt first. Yeah, excited to hear. What's up?
Oh, thank you. How's it going? Thanks for having me. This is awesome. Everyone who's in here is like, they're all over the place. Bunch of New Jerseyites. I'm outside Philadelphia, so I'm close to near some of you. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Andrew Maff. I'm founder and CEO over at Blue Tusker. We're a full service marketing firm for e-commerce sellers, and we tend to focus on working with brands to help them diversify and develop more omni-channel strategies. So today I'm going to be talking about one of the omni-channel strategies that helps Amazon sellers grow on Amazon, but by doing off Amazon marketing initiatives. So that's where I'm going to focus today.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds great. And then the other Andrew Morgans. I know we know each other well, but welcome as well.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. I am in Kansas City, Missouri today. Tomorrow I'll be in Texas, so still middle of the country. We have like 70 degrees, so we feel like it feels like Hawaii type of weather here today. I'm super excited. I've been personally just like less in the agency space in the last few months and really into the branding space. Like I do both, and so really building some of my brands and working on some of that, implementing AI, doing a bunch of stuff like that. I'm just excited to share. I like to share what I'm into at the time, if that makes sense. So I think we're gonna have some fun today. I'm talking about, we use a 4-pillar framework for what we do in our agency. We're a full service marketplace agency. And I want to talk about kind of like diagnosing problems, how the 4 pillars work together. It's just like a framework that I want to try to share. I think it can be a perspective that helps a lot of people.
Awesome. Yeah. Great, and I'm coming in from Los Angeles. And funny enough, we've had some crazy weather over here as well. Including Mammoth and the whole side of California just getting dumped with snow, which is great. Always late in the season, but better late than never. So yeah, I'll kick things off today. But really, what I'm going to be talking about is the key area that we've been focused on for a while, which is the shift to Amazon's new algorithm Cosmo, and the conversational search experience around Rufus, and really what are the things that you need to be looking at on your content side to send the right signals for discoverability around Rufus. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and hopefully give you guys some insights and some good value that you can take away from today. So good. So thanks for everyone jumping in here. I'd love to hear more. I know there's a bunch more of you sitting here listening, so let us know where you're coming in from. I see there's definitely some Jessica fans, Michael, so that's cool. Yeah, so everywhere from California to India, cool, Connecticut, Chicago, South Florida. Good to have you guys on board. Let's kick it off. So I want to give a little bit of a framework for how we're going to roll today. We do this in more of a 5-side style chat. Everyone here objective is to help teach and educate and give you guys some value. We'll probably spend 10 to 12 minutes each talking about our specific topic. If you have questions, please drop them in the chat. We will either answer them on the go or keep them for the end and save it for a good Q&A at the end. So the better the questions, the better answers you're going to get from us, and the more engaging the conversations are going to be. So the effort here is on our side, but it's also on yours. So please drop in some good questions. Anything is open for conversation. So Amazon, Omnichannel, Shopify, whatever you've got a really good panel here. So I encourage you to drop the questions. We're going to roll. We're going to keep it, on point, and we're going to roll really quickly. So let's keep it efficient and give you guys some value. So we're going to kick it off right now with myself first, then Jess, then Andrew from Blue Tusker, and then over to Andrew with Marknology, and then we'll open up for Q&A. Sound good? Everyone good?
Sounds great.
Let me see if I can present my screen here. I want to just make sure that I'm doing this. Yeah, we got it right here. Cool. Okay, I got you guys over there. All right, good. And again, the panelists, guys, if you have questions or comments, feel free to ask during or between the switch as well. That's perfect. I always like to open with an unpopular opinion. And the one I have today is using ChatGPT to write your Amazon listing is the new version of keyword stuffing. And to the degree, I mean, it's not obviously not keyword stuffing, but it's kind of it's creating the same thing, which is a surface level content piece that is really not created for sending the right signals to Cosmo and for Rufus. It might feel modern to you, it might feel efficient, but really, I guess the point is when we use AI, if you're just going to use ChatGPT and prompt it a little bit and think that's great, that's a hack, right? If you're really going to use AI in the right way, use it for what it's really good at, and that's the structure that we built on our side, which is like use it to do deep research on your niche, right? Use it to surface ideas around how to position your product. How do you stand out from your competitors? Make sure that is then brought through in the copy, right? That is written in the right way, and you can express it beautifully, which you can do in today's world on Amazon versus keyword stuffing. And then obviously clearly more this technical mapping, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And that way you're setting the right signals and you're using AI in the right way, right? So winning AI discovery, requires structured product knowledge. It's not just better prompts that you throw into ChatGPT. And I know there are influencers out there. It's like, hey, just use ChatGPT, write your listing. I can guarantee you it doesn't work nearly as well as how you should be using AI, right? So do the work, use it in the right way, and you'll get good results. Great. If you don't know ZonGuru, we have over 20 different tools to really help you operationalize and run your Amazon business. I truly believe that where we position right now is to help meet Amazon's AI moment, which is significantly happening right now. There is a shift from, this old algorithm and an experience where was obviously keyword driven to this new conversational search, which is rapidly growing. And it needs someone to help you navigate how to best send the right signals and to make sure that you are discoverable across every type of way that people can find your products. And we are positioned to do that. And we have a massive focus on, reverse engineering Amazon's algorithm and figuring out how to help you with discoverability, right? So I want to drop a couple of stats. These have actually changed in the last couple of weeks. So this is really interesting. I think you have to make sure you pay attention here because Amazon released a stat that people who engage with Rufus and the conversational search experience convert at 60% higher than through the traditional, funnel that you go through, typing a keyword PDP, mapping there, which is basically they're having a conversation, they're trusting the recommendations they're getting the answers quicker that they need to make sure that they have the right information to make a decision on shopping, and then they're converting, right? 250 million, it's higher than that already, but 250 million people are using Rufus right now today. And there's a projection of $10 billion plus in additional revenue from Amazon, just from Rufus alone. So, from Amazon's perspective, shoppers that engage with Rufus, they convert better, they give more money to Amazon. Their average cart value is higher because they get suggestions from Rufus, and they're projecting a higher revenue stream from there. This should make you pay attention that if you're not optimized for this experience, you're missing out on sales, but Amazon is all in, so you should be as well, right? So this is a really important piece to mention. Yeah, I think the point to say here is, if you as a seller haven't actually gone in and gone through the Rufus experience, I encourage you to do it. Open up Amazon.com, start a conversation with Rufus, and see what that experience is like. You'll see that it is significantly better than it has been in the last 6 months. It is comparable to ChatGPT, it's comparable to Perplexity. You're getting good recommendations, the trust factor is there. And I'm being, as an objective shopper right now, I do it all the time because I just find the experience way better. I don't have to go to a PDP and try and find the things that I need to understand about that page to make sure that I have the right product. I can literally have a conversation with Rufus, get the recommendations, the answers that I want, even check it for price parity. Is it the best price in the last while? And then get it added to my cart. Maybe get a couple of other things added as recommendations, and I can convert, right? So that's how I'm shopping today, because it's more efficient and frankly, it's a more enjoyable experience, and it's absolutely growing. So I encourage you to go ahead and try that. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon, the homepage is taken over by the Rufus experience in the next few months, because they are truly behind it, right? And that's our shopper shop today. So people ask questions and want answers. They're not just typing in keywords. These are important things for you to understand about Rufus. There's a trust factor that's happening with sellers as they have their conversation with Rufus. But importantly, selection happens. There's reasoning factor behind Cosmo, the algorithm, right? And it's making decisions on what to surface to you based on I'm going to talk about exactly some of those sources right now, but it will surface products based on an intelligence that it has around what it thinks it should surface to that specific customer. And selection happens before you even got to a PDP, and it can frankly be added to your cart based on your prompting without you even going through the traditional method. So it is absolutely changed, and you have to understand how to make sure that you get recommended in that process, right? And there's some very clear things that the good news is there's some clear things that you need to do to be able to be surfaced. Some of the things that happen in that process, you can try this, right? Try creative prompts like you do with ChatGPT. Ask it to research products for you. Hey, I have this type of product, an espresso maker. Find me some more that are similar, right? Find me the best deals. I'm looking for these type of products. Hey, I put in some order 3 weeks ago. I want you to track those products and tell me when it's at the cheapest price possible, and then get those added to my cart and buy it, right? You can literally give those kind of prompts, right? You can make it much more efficient and tailor it into what your needs are. Drop an image in there, say, hey, I want to find a product similar to this. Let me know what you find, right? So there's a bunch of ways. We have a stack of different prompts that you can use to prompt Rufus to really experience how different this is to the traditional way of finding a product on Amazon. So what drives this? It is, clearly this new algorithm called Cosmo. There's a lot of factors that go into understanding what makes up Cosmo, but at a high level, it's, there are pieces of this that are LLMs. It has its own LLM like Amazon Nevo, but it also uses Anthropic. There's different LLMs that are used, but it has an intelligence to understand, how to take the content and other signals from your Amazon store to map your product to the various types of relevant pathways that people can use to find your product. And the penny has to have dropped that is not just this linear type in a keyword, find a product. There are so many different ways to find it right now, but it has the ability to use signals to map you to all of those contents. And I'm going to talk about exactly what that technical mapping is in a second. This is it actually. I'm sure everyone here on this call and the panelists has seen this, but this was a white paper, a snippet of a white paper that Amazon produced, which is saying like, hey, for this new algorithm, which can intelligently map your products, give this mapping, give this product knowledge graph on the back end. And as long as you are starting to map this through your content, it can then intelligently map you to the various ways of being found, right? So for example, a really good one that we see a lot that people are not including in their listing is co-buyer behavior, which is like this used with, right? Complementary co-buyer behavior. So if I'm selling a coffee machine, what are the type of products that people might be searching for that would then reasonably mean that your product should be surfaced? If they're shopping for coffee, yes. If they're shopping for a coffee tamper or espresso cups, right? These are things that people will use, as a co-buy with you. And so Amazon can then intelligently surface your product and hopefully get a customer to buy that, increase their order value. Amazon makes more money, and you get more sessions, and you get more discoverability. So as long as this mapping is in place, what's really cool is you don't have to have a listing that just talks to like ingredient stuffing keywords, right? You can actually have this beautiful listing that can breathe, that can connect with the customer, talk about why you're so different. And as long as you have this technical mapping on the back end, you're in a good spot, right? As one of the areas. What are some of the other factors that Amazon accounts for? Yes, it's the listing content, right? Make sure that you have, like, you know, outside of just the content, it is obviously your images, your image stack, but your EBC, make sure that you also talk about objective things that you might have around your business, claims, certifications. These are really important to make sure that you surface in your content. We have a whole list of things that you need to check off and make sure you have in there. Reviews, Q&A for sure, and then catalog structured data. The LLMs are out there learning the whole catalog and linking everything together. How does this work best? How should we surface these two individuals looking in this category so that they obviously get a great experience, get the right product surfaced, and, you know, order more, right? And then customer profiles. It is based on your customer profile, your shopping behavior factors in. So there's this LLM and intelligent algorithm that's taking in all of these factors to reason and figure out, hey, what's the best way to present products to you in the question and answer conversation you're having with Rufus, and therefore ensure that the percentage of conversion is higher, right? And you can see that by the 60% that was shown. I think this point here, and it's kind of getting towards the end of what I want to present today, but this is a really important point, which ties back to that question I had up front around the unpopular opinion, right? Is, you know, you can use just surface AI copy, ChatGPT. You can maybe ask it like, hey, you know, how do I best rank for Cosmo? It's going to give you some type of solution, right? That is a very surface level hack that is not going to give you the best results. What you need to do is focus on using AI and engineering your listing, where you're using AI in the right way to do the research, to come up with the right structure around the actual mapping, right? And that's tested and validated, right? That you write copy in the right way that really connects emotionally with your customer, and, you know, gives them authority, right? And so these are things that are important not only for customer conversion, but clearly for AI readability and discoverability, which is really important. So we have a system that we built that does that. It is right now, it's called the Cosmo Transformation Service, where we literally take your ASINs, your content, and then we write it for your storefronts and for your listing. But we focus on using AI in the right way to do the deep research, to map it for human conversion, but also for AI readability. So you have the best listing that can convert better. You know, we also give you control around your brand tonality, and make sure that it's mapped. And so on the mapping side, you know, there are a bunch of mapping requirements. We know what they all are. We map your listings to make sure that we check those off and send the right signals to Cosmo, and obviously the Q&A on the Rufus side as well. And we also have the ability to score your listing. So whenever you get a solution back from us, which is all the copy, the images, the EBC content, using, you know, all those surfaced insights in the right way, we also show you and give you a score on how you map, both for the semantic mapping and for the buyer Q&A. And we also have, outside of the product that we have a free report that you guys can get access to right now. I'm going to jump ahead and show you what that is and give you a link so you can do it. And this is it right here. We also, by the way, you also have a bunch of tracking showing you how your sessions, importantly, your sessions really increase because your discoverability is there, your niche rank, and your conversion. But if you guys want to access this free Cosmo readiness score, you literally enter your ASIN, and in 2 minutes, it's going to give you a full PDF, not only showing you how strong your listing is for sending the right signals to Cosmo, but also where you weaken, how to improve it. You can go to zonguru.link/CosmoRS, and you have 5 free downloads you can do right there. And then if you want to actually access the service, you can get a 25% discount. Just go to this link right here, zonguru.link/Cosmo25 off. Just go through that process. You don't have to have a subscription with Zonguru. You're getting 25% off, and you will get a full listing, all the content, your EBC content, and insights around your images, what to put in them, your order of your images, how to make it discoverable for AI, and you get that full solution. plus all the reasons why. So our objective at the end of it is to make you feel confident, like, hey, I've got a great product, but now I actually have a listing that's sending the right signals to this latest AI algorithm so that I can be discovered not only through keyword intent-based searches, but through Rufus engagement as well. And I guarantee you, if you do this, you will see your sessions, niche rank, and conversions increase. It is critical that you get on this train right now before everyone jumps on it. So yeah, that's it. I hope that's helpful. If there's any questions, please post them there and we'll come back to that. And we can talk a lot more in depth around Cosmo and Rufus and how to optimize as well. Good. Okay. Well, I hope that that landed. Jess, we're going to hand it over to you for your 10 to 12 minutes. Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, let's see if I can present here. And get on the right window. And hopefully it's not, you're not picking up too much wind sound. I apologize in advance if it is a little noisy. We're having hurricane force winds here in Colorado for some reason.
We can see your screen and we can hear you perfectly.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to talk today about driving profitability on Amazon. So I already gave a little brief intro about myself, but just to give a little more background about why this is something that I feel passionate about speaking on. I come from the brand side. I've been in the e-commerce industry for almost 20 years, and I spent the first half of that starting in 2008 on the brand side working for a small toy manufacturer. We were doing, when I started in 2008, about 5 million a year in revenue, and we scaled up to 10 million. But I say a small company because there were about 6 of us doing that. And so I learned from day one about how to scale profitably on Amazon, or initially from day one, how to not scale profitably on Amazon when we flipped the switch on what at the time was Amazon's brand portal, Dropship Central. We saw sales immediately and we got that cash grab and we went after it, and we were super scrappy about how we listed products and sold products on Amazon. And it took some time before we were able to really understand what was happening and step back and take a strategic approach. Because what we found was at the end of that first cash grab, when we made a ton of money, at the end of the day, we didn't actually have the money to then go and reorder to keep, supplying that demand, because we weren't as profitable as we thought we were going to be. And so today I just want to share some of the things to be focused on, less about exactly how to fix those things, but just to get your gears turning about what you should be taking a look at to make sure that you are either launching or scaling profitably on the Amazon platform. And really beyond all of these things can apply to all areas of your e-commerce business. So the reality of growth on Amazon is that growth can just amplify problems that already exist. And we all have them in our business, no matter what stage we're in. And those problems change depending on the stage we're in, but can be any of these things like pricing inconsistencies, not being optimized, fulfillment volatility, not having a great channel strategy, or negative contribution margins, and many, many more things. But the key takeaway here is that a lot of us like to say Amazon's a bad business partner, and they are in some ways. And a lot of us like to say Amazon causes problems in businesses. But the reality is, if we're trying to launch or scale on Amazon before we're ready, or without a strategic plan about each level of growth, then what we're really doing is scaling our problems and not scaling our profits. And that's not what any of us want to be doing. So 3 operational decisions are really 3 areas of the business that we can focus on to turn that discovery and to turn what we're doing into profitability. So first off, really just making sure that your pricing parity is in place. So we all know, or I think most of us know at this point, that pricing parity is super important to Amazon. So Amazon may suppress your listings or suppress your offer, make your products harder to buy, if they don't feel that the offer on Amazon at any given time is the best offer. And so that is important, but also understanding across your other channels. Probably you started on a D2C site, or you're in some more traditional retail. I know this was the case for the brand that I worked for. We immediately saw some pricing erosion on other channels, or even loss of sales on other channels, which is not what you want to do. Amazon is a great platform that has a ton of eyes, but it should hopefully be, some new business for you. You should be getting in front of some new opportunities and not having to steal from your other sites or platforms to be able to grow and scale on Amazon. And one way that people do that poorly is by relying on promos, advertising, things like that, where I know, we are an Amazon agency. We do help brands with advertising, amongst other things. So obviously I want that to be part of the strategy, but make sure that you have a strategy is what I'm trying to say here is, if you come in always running promos, you're degrading the value of your brand, or you're, driving down the value of your product. If you are advertising to the point where it's 60% of your sales, then you are buying your sales, right? If someone said to me once, I think the difference between advertising and like organic sales, the advertising sales or the promo sales, you're renting your space on Amazon, versus if you're building this organic engine, then you are buying your space, which seems backwards because you're actually spending money to buy the ads or to, serve the promos. But that's the reality. If you can establish those organic sales and have a great promo and advertising strategy that doesn't have you always offering deals, you're going to buy that space long term to have success. And then understanding what your fees are. You must go into scaling or launching on Amazon, understanding the Amazon fees. And this comes at every stage of the game. Every time you add a SKU to Amazon, understanding what your contribution is on that SKU after all the fees. 10 years ago, this was, close to impossible. People really struggle to understand the fees on Amazon. But now Amazon has built-in tools. Third parties have tools. We have, tools that we work with and things that we've built internally to help our clients with that. So there's no excuse anymore. Before you launch a SKU on Amazon, you need to understand what that's going to cost you and what you're really going to take home at the end of the day, and understand if it makes sense or if you need to make changes to the product, to the offer, to whatever you're doing. Maybe you don't need to sell that particular product on Amazon. Maybe it's a great fit for your other channels, but you need to understand that. And then I do suggest, checking in on that at least quarterly, because it does change, because there are peak season fees, because there are, fees for having not enough inventory or too much. You need to make sure that your SKU is profitable over a period of time, not just at a moment in time. I won't get too much into this one because, as John has covered most of this, but just structuring your listings for AI summarization and for the algorithm, not just for search. The one thing I do want to say on the optimizing for use case, not for keyword densities, I'm just so excited to move in this direction. I was someone who was always so against keyword stuffing, even when you could see, yes, put 50 random keywords in there and they were driving traffic and they were converting because the thing that people were searching for was in there. It never sat right with me. And we would always tell our clients, optimize to answer the questions that people aren't asking. There was no way for shoppers to ask questions before. And so we still had to figure out what they might want to ask and answer them throughout the listing. And now we actually are optimizing for the questions that the shoppers are asking. And that's really exciting for me to see things move in that direction, because, that's where we wanted to see it before. And then the other big call out I want to make here, specifically on the algorithm piece, don't skip the brand story, but it goes beyond the brand story for your brand store, for your enhanced brand content. So another thing that is a recent change, we used to tell our clients to, come to us retail ready enough. As long as you had the written content, as long as you had your images, and as long as you had your inventory, we could get the listings up. We could start doing some brand awareness for them, and they could add on those other layers later. We've recently been told, and this is a change that rolled out at the beginning of January by some Amazon teams, that brand story, having a brand page linked in your listing, having your enhanced brand content, those are no longer nice to haves. But you actually, from day one of your listing, you will be algorithmically penalized if you don't have those things on your listing. And likewise, from day one, if you have them on your listing, you will benefit in the algorithm from that. And so that's a very new change, or at least something very new that Amazon is revealing to us that is part of the equation. And so, that operational piece of making sure that you actually have all of those things in place when you're ready to launch. Whereas we used to say, 3 months in. If you were getting those up, it was good to do. And then the last piece here is not anything that's new, but it's something that needs to continue to be talked about because it does continue to evolve, is just making sure you have the availability to support demand across spikes, but also across channels. That's changing a lot operationally in the Amazon space due to AI and not. So one thing that's new that we've seen a lot recently is discussion around how Rufus will recommend or not recommend your product based on reliability. We always have known that Amazon really prioritizes reliability. And if you go out of stock, you start to lose your rank. You have to rebuild it when you come back into stock. But, things like Rufus and Cosmo now are changing the game with that as well, where it might not just be good enough to come back into stock and rebuild, but if you're not consistently available, will Rufus be able to treat you as reliable and recommend you at all? And it seems like that's the way the conversation is going, is you lose your ability to be recommended if your stock is not consistent. So a lot of things go into that here, just considering your fulfillment methods, FBA versus hybrid, using MCF and using AWD, and all of the things that can make you more available in the right places when they're needed. Considering vendor and seller, which is, not going to get into that today. It's a big topic and I have strong opinions there, but just understanding truly what benefits they can give you from a fulfillment standpoint, but also what the economics are behind that. And then this comes into fulfillment as well, just optimizing for the dimensional tiers. And it's not specific to Amazon. It's not specific to e-commerce. Anywhere you're moving packages from one place to another, you should be operationally, for your business, for profitability, taking a look at tiers, taking a look at how the sizing, cutting a quarter inch, cutting a couple of ounces will change both your cost, but also the durability of the product and the ability for it to be delivered without additional costs. So when you do all of those things, you're able to scale without increasing promo dependency, introduce new SKUs, knowing what your margin is, support retail moments without stockouts, expand your assortment, and grow on the Amazon channel because your pricing holds up, because your PDPs answer the questions, because your availability supports recommendations. All of these things come together. I know I didn't solve all of the problems for you today, but hopefully gave you some things to think about. And we'll leave you with just these 3 questions. Ask yourself, and there are so many more you could ask, but if you're doing these 3, if you're going to add a product, if you're going to add a channel, if you're going to scale a channel, does the pricing hold up? Not just without promos, but across channels. Can your PDPs be summarized by Rufus or wherever you are? AEO across the internet is important now. And then can you fill consistently when you need to be? And if not, scaling traffic may just be scaling your brand risk, and you need to step back and reconsider strategy and build that so that you can have successful growth. Okay. And that is all I've got for you today.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. I guess one comment I have is I wonder if not out of stock, but if you've got inactive listings because of challenges we have with Amazon, whether that impacts Rufus discoverability when you finally come back. Always a question.
Yeah. Has anybody seen anything around that yet?
Not too much. I think we have a few clients that have had some inactives. I would say coming back is as much of a, excuse the French, shit show as it always is, right? You don't know if you are or you're not. So we'll have to see. Yeah. I'm curious, what's your number one strongest opinion of vendor versus seller?
I don't recommend vendor to anyone.
Okay.
And I've done both. And I've lived the horror stories, and I've worked through them with brands, and I know that it works for some, and I don't judge them for it. But if someone's asking me, I'm going to recommend that they go Seller Central. Yeah.
I always said, like, hey, if your business is big enough that your Amazon channel is a blip on a financial sheet, and you need some consistency there, then maybe vendor is right for you, but otherwise not. Yeah.
Yes. Maybe you remember this, maybe not, maybe somebody else, maybe Andrew or John. But do you remember when Vendor Express was a thing? And we would get
throwback
Express just to be able to get EBC, like it was like that was how you got EBC, right? So it was like we were signing everybody up Vendor Express.
But that's how you got access to it. But then didn't you still have to pay like $2,000 per ASIN to even get it on there?
No, not.
Mm.
It wasn't like A+ premium or anything like that. It was just at least
Back in the day when we first started doing it, you had to be vendor to get access, and then you still had to pay $2,000 or $2,500 per ASIN to then be able to implement it.
Maybe I'm just like getting old. I don't remember that.
Maybe you blocked the bad memories.
Yeah.
Good. Okay,
Yeah.
well, thank you, Jess. That was amazing. Guys, great questions coming in. Anybody here, feel free to answer the questions, but we will come back at the Q&A and dive into each of these if we can. Andrew, Matt, yeah, your floor is yours, man. Let's go.
Let's do it. Boom. Make sure we're working here. Gorgeous. Cool. All right. Thank you all for having me. I'm reading the list of all the questions and stuff on the side. I'm seeing a bunch of familiar names. This is awesome. A couple of people in my backyard too. If you're not familiar, my name is Andrew Maff. I'm the founder and CEO of Blue Tusker, as well as the host of the Ecom Show. Blue Tusker, we're a full service marketing firm. I kind of mentioned earlier, we tend to focus on omni-channel strategies, and that stems from a story that I don't have enough time to get into, but basically it used to be in-house and get suspended at Amazon all the time, and we'd be in a panic. So I used to have to figure out, okay, how do we diversify? And so that's a lot of what I like to focus on. And today I'm going to focus on one of my favorites, which is in the SEO side of things. So we're going to talk about the backdoor off Amazon SEO strategies that a lot of top sellers don't like to talk about. This is something that I've always found extremely interesting and very odd to me that a lot of brands don't even realize a lot of this stuff. So this is kind of what I'm going to do, something a little bit different and kind of veer us off track a little bit and do a little bit of off Amazon marketing, but it's going to be relevant to your Amazon business. This is something we do all the time. So like I mentioned, a lot of our omni-channel strategies, specific to the SEO side, we look at ways that brands can leverage either off Amazon marketing to improve their Amazon business or do off Amazon marketing to improve their D2C business, but not forget about their Amazon business. So we look at marketing a little bit more holistically. And last year, we actually won one of Amazon's agencies of the year for that exact thing. And so we're super happy. I got this cool picture with a bunch of people. So this is why I always look at this, because this stat is crazy to me, or these stats, I should say. Over the last 5 years, Amazon's FBA fees have averaged an increase of 10% year over year. CPC's averaged an 8% increase year over year, averaging 6% increase in competition year over year. It actually was down a little bit last year, but it's still about the same average. And I actually did a omni-channel talk last year at Prosper next to Amazon's booth, which was always fun. Basically telling people that, hey, don't rely on them, and they're sitting next to me. But one of the Amazon guys actually came up to me after the show and told me 73% of sellers in 2024 were from overseas, at least in Amazon US. I kind of took it with a grain of salt. I don't know if maybe that guy just hates his job, because that just seems ridiculous to me. But what it does tell you is that the race to the bottom is getting worse and worse, right? So the problem is FBA fees go up, CPCs go up, there's more and more competition, but you can't really increase your product price as much as you would like, because a lot of people are coming in and keeping price points super low. So your margins are just getting crushed. And so that's why we start to look at these more off Amazon approaches. So I'm going to use today as an example of a client of ours called Bragg. You might be familiar with them. If you've seen them in retail, they have a bright yellow bottle. They tend to focus on apple cider vinegar. What I have here is an example of something that I'm trying to kind of convey today. First two listings that show up when you search for apple cider vinegar are both theirs. And then the third one there is one of their competitors, Golly. You might know, or Golly, I'm actually not sure how to pronounce it. But you might notice for the competitor's brand, they have 365,000 reviews, and yet they are third, whereas the other two only have 20,000 reviews. Now, quality of reviews, obviously that's a relevant thing. Price points, obviously a relevant thing. There's a ton of things that affect the overall algorithm, but this happens a lot. And basically what we know is happening here is Bragg is doing a lot of work from an off Amazon perspective, not just on Amazon. And what that does is it really starts to improve the amount of people that are searching their brand name typically on Amazon, right? But there's also other ways that people find their Amazon listings without going directly to the marketplace. And so this type of brand lift can actually really help your organic ranking on Amazon, because it's driving more off Amazon traffic. And so I'm going to run through some real quick basics for you on the SEO side, right? So I'm going to kind of assume that this is the case, but we're going to do it relatively quick. Amazon's domain authority, right? Every website has a domain authority. Amazon's 100, basically perfect, right? So every website has a domain authority. It's kind of like a ranking for how your website should rank through mostly Google. Google used to say that this is not a real thing, but they actually accidentally leaked their algorithm files in May of, I believe it was 2024, and that was completely disproven. They do have a domain authority, and so this is something that basically helps websites rank. It's basically a ranking for each website, right? Well, every page has its own page authority as well. So even if Amazon has a 100 domain authority, when you launch a new listing, you are starting from scratch for a page authority. However, it's Amazon, so that because they have this high domain authority, the better that you can actually improve the SEO for your own listing, the faster that your page authority improves. And so what actually starts to happen is you start to see more and more traffic coming from Google. So you actually start to rank higher on Google over time. So you can see here, when you search apple cider vinegar, the first thing that shows up is an Amazon, basically a search result. But the first thing listed is Bragg. And the third thing listed is their actual listing. Because one of the things that we look at doing is in their scenario is we're doing very traditional SEO things on their website, but we don't want to forget about their Amazon business. So we include making sure that we're referencing their Amazon listings, linking to their Amazon listings, and we actually keep an eye on how well their listings do on Google. Because the better that you rank on Google for your Amazon listings, the more qualified traffic you're getting from Google to your Amazon listings, which we all know qualified off Amazon traffic, Amazon loves. And so you start to improve your ranking over time. So there's a way you can actually track this, right? We're SEMrush partners, so we tend to use that, but you can really do it in pretty much any platform. You can actually take your Amazon URL, put it into these platforms, and it will tell you not only what your current page authority is, but it will also tell you any backlinks that you're getting. So when you see a lot of these listings that are ranking really well on Amazon, you come across them and you're like, why is so-and-so outranking me, but I've got more reviews, or, I've got a lower price point and blah, blah. Chances are they have a ton of digital PR going on. And so what's happening is they're ranking and getting traffic from off Amazon that Amazon loves. And so they're ranking them better. And that's how they're ranking you. So very traditional way to approach the SEO side of things, right? So you can't just buy authority. You have to basically work for it. It's a lot of asset building. So backlinks are obviously still a great thing. LLMs, they don't even require so much backlinking anymore as much as they do actual just brand mentions. That's a different conversation. Traffic coming from multiple sources is obviously always great. And then just general content is also very helpful. So as you're creating all of this different content and getting all these backlinks just to your Amazon listing, it will improve your listings ranking on Amazon over time because Amazon loves off Amazon traffic. So link building, I got it. Link building does actually help a lot, even just for your Amazon listings. So this is where, especially during Q4, you see a lot of brands will use their Amazon links and they'll work with influencers, or they'll do like listicles and they'll get listed on like, hey, top X gifts for dad or whatever. And that's the type of stuff that is linking back to Amazon. And so Google sees that your listing is being referenced so many times that the listing itself on Google starts to rank better and better. You can do this with guest blog posts. Obviously, if you have your own D2C website, just including your own Amazon listings links in your actual blog content or any content on your website can work really well. There's a whole other omni-channel strategy I won't get into right now, but you can also look at creating like your own custom buttons on your own PDPs to link over to Amazon. So any type of qualified traffic you can bring to Amazon can actually help you start to rank better, not only on Amazon, but also on Google. Content is the same thing, right? So blogs, if you have the ability to do that, work fantastic. You can also, we've worked with several brands that literally have their own blog, but do not actually have the ability to convert on their own website. They just do this to create content to continue to improve the overall SEO capabilities that they have from an off Amazon perspective that improve them on Amazon. Plus it gives them stuff to work with from an influencer perspective. Guest posts, I know I mentioned YouTube and short videos also work really well. If you don't already know this, I think it's like 55 to 60% of searches for product searches start on Amazon. The other like 35, 40%, most of those start on Google. So almost half, let's say 40% of your business could actually be coming from Google and sending people directly to Amazon. And YouTube counts as Google as well in these search capabilities. Your UX UI also still matters, right? So obviously we've already had some great conversations around your listing optimizations. how the quality of your listing actually has a really large effect on how well the SEO of your listing ranks on Google. So, for example, on your own website, if you have your own website, UX UI has become more and more of a big play, because basically what Google is doing is when someone searches for something, they want to send them to not only the correct information, but they want to send them to a really good site, because in a way, Google sent them there. So Google wants to make sure they have a good experience. That means that, high time spent on page, low bounce rates. They want to obviously see that you're clicking around, so there's engagement. Ideally, you're converting. So Google's going to make sure that who it's showing more frequently is exactly what that user wants based on how they engage with the page. It's literally the exact same thing Amazon does. The reason Amazon ranks people higher and higher is because they know that they're going to get the best experience for these types of products, right? So your UX UI on your Amazon listings have a really strong effect on also how well your listings rank on Google. Then there's the AI side of things, right? This is the big conversation. A lot of people like to talk about GEO. It's the big, kind of elephant in the room. The reality of it is there's a slight difference in content you have to create. There's a slight difference in, from a D2C perspective, things that you can tweak on your site. But outside of that, it's still relatively similar to just following best practice. So the reality is, if AI can't understand your brand, it's not going to recommend it. So I think I think Jess mentioned it. I think John mentioned it as well. Like, you don't need to be writing for the algorithm. You really should be writing for the consumer, because that is essentially writing for the algorithm. So when you have all of this very clear information for your consumer, it actually really helps the AI side of things. So as long as you're writing for writing for the consumer, you are effectively already ahead of the game, because you're writing for Cosmos and the new optimizations that are coming down the line. So there's a lot of different things that can be tweaked, but it's interesting to see that the best practices that you need to put together on Amazon, and from an SEO perspective, you can actually develop these more omni-channel approaches that will allow your listing to rank better on Amazon. It's the same concept of, obviously, if your content doesn't answer questions, AI tends to skip it over. This is obviously more information on, like, when you're creating this content, the old like how-tos and like shit like that just doesn't work anymore. So you have to create like really quality content, and you have to create stuff that kind of sparks an interest for someone to learn more about it. But I know I'm at time here. So I'm going to wrap this up. AI assisted stuff. Obviously, this is you're going to start to see a lot of traffic coming. Well, you won't see it because Amazon hides it, but Amazon is going to start getting a lot more traffic from ChatGPT and things like that. So having these listings in more of a more conversion friendly space and written for the consumer is going to help with these LLMs. I know I'm wrapped up. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. It's andrew@bluetusker.com. But we have a ton of different off Amazon marketing initiatives that we do. And so we developed an Amazon escape plan, which is essentially what we suggest in terms of step-by-step, exactly what to do to help you start to diversify off Amazon. So if you head over to bluetusker.com/AEP, you can download that guy, and it will help you start to diversify and develop these more omni-channel strategies. But that's my time. Thank you all.
Very cool, man. Yeah, super, super cool. A lot of information there. I think just my reaction there is like, just reiterating to everyone here, like, we've always talked about this. Like, you don't want to be the product that you sell on Amazon. You want to be an e-commerce brand. And we're finally getting to a place on Amazon with this new algorithm that we can express ourselves on our listing, the architectural heartbeat of your Amazon storefront or Amazon business, in a way that communicates your product in the right way and connects with customers, right? So thinking about how you can get at deeper insights and be clever and smart in how you position your product, and actually not being restricted by having stuck with keywords, and actually explaining that's like the beauty, because you improving the emotional connection with that customer, improving conversion. And if you write the listing in that way, and again, if you check the technical mapping on the back end and send the right signals, you're going to get the exposure you need, right? And so the other thing that is really interesting is, like, we also see it, if you do this for an LLM structure on Amazon, to your point, you're future-proofing the structures you have as an LLM on Amazon is similar to GEO on all the other platforms, right? So if you structure it in the right way, you're sending the right signals to Google and everything else, right? So there is this kind of future proofing beyond Amazon be structured in the right way. And I think that's a really cool insight for people to understand here. Very cool. Yeah, let's keep it rolling. I know, Andrew, we're going to roll over to you on the Marknology side. Like, the floor is yours. Go through that, and hopefully you guys have a little bit of time at the end of this to hang around. And we've got some good questions here. We're gonna jump in and Q&A answer that as well, and hopefully get a parting note from all of you at the end of like what is the one thing everyone should be focused on for 2026. So we'll come back to that at the end. But Andrew, go for it.
Yeah, happy to jump in. I'm going to jump in quick just so I can stay up on time. Andrew, I really, both you and Jess, honestly, but I just really appreciated those approaches. Like, we're on lots of webinars, lots of speaking events. I just think those were fresh perspectives that are super important. And it's like, I like doing things the right way. And what I feel like is if you've been doing things the right way, not trying to hack things, but actually storytell, emotionally connecting, like answering good questions, answering your customers' reviews, FAQs, like, this stuff, these changes are actually for the better. And so for me, it's like, that's how it should have been all along. Right. So I'm going to jump in really quick. Maybe. Sorry, here we go.
All good.
All right, here we go.
We got you.
Okay, so everyone can see?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, Marknology, I didn't do it in about me, but I'm Drew Morgans. Been in the space about 15, 16 years. Marknology is a marketplace agency. Like Andrew, omni-channel, always thinking e-commerce. E-commerce is my passion. Amazon has been my battlefield, I guess, so to speak, if you want to put it that way. And if you start in the early days, it used to be just finding products, sourcing them, getting them up was winning. Now it's a lot more than that. It's storytelling, it's fixing the right problems, it's focusing on the right things, scaling correctly. Like Jess was talking about, all those things are important. And so one thing that I have in my agency and that I want to share is just what we call the 4-pillar framework. And I don't know about you, but like just a silly example would be, I can work on cars. I'm not like a car guy. I'm not, I'm not going to rebuild the engine. But for me, it's always been, if I had like that uncle, or I had like the shop tell me what was wrong, diagnose it for me, then I could do the changes. I was confident enough to like take the radiator out and put it back together, watch the YouTube and jump in. And for me, it was always about just diagnosing the right problem. I think as an agency owner, there's no boss above me. So there's no one telling me like, hey, you should focus on this to fix your business. You should focus on this. And that's the biggest stressor, is what area do I focus my attention on? Once I know the mission, I'm like a hound. Like I'm getting that. I'm going to go fix that problem. But a lot of times it's just this indecisiveness, this what do I do and what do I focus on? And so this framework, whether you're hiring an agency, you have your one-man show, or you use VAs, or you use even individual consultants or agencies that work on different things, I think this can help everybody, even if you're not built in the same way as me. So the pattern, for 15 years, brands come to me thinking that they know what's broken. They optimize what's easiest to measure, while oftentimes ignoring the 3 things that actually determine if traffic converts to profit. So Jess was talking about profit. For me, profit is a very big focus with the brands I'm working with my own brands. And so why not talk about profitability more? Because at the end of the day, it's what keeps you in business. So what are the 4 pillars? We have strategy, content, advertising, and operations. And there's something about visually just like thinking about what bucket something is in to help you like know what team to focus on, or how these things work together. But you can see some quick definitions there, like bullet points on what's included in those things. Content, obvious. Advertising, operations is like the catalog, inventory management, and strategy being the most important. I think sometimes what customers forget the most about is that all those things independently are nothing, but with strategy involved, they can be really powerful. So all 4 pillars are connected. I know it'll feel like, there's content agencies, there's ad agencies, there's full service agencies, or you have your content team and then you have your ads guy, and they're on different time zones, but they're all connected. Whether you want to agree with that or not, you're, as my grandpa would say, you're entitled to your opinion and you're entitled to be wrong. That's how I feel about these pillars. Is like they are all connected one way or another. And when one breaks, it doesn't just hurt that pillar; it really hurts. It hurts all of them. So a quick example would be how broken content can kill advertising. So oftentimes we're pulling the wrong lever. We're pulling all these different levers that don't matter. And if it's anything like me, if I've got 4 problems, I'm going to focus on the 2 that I'm strongest at and ignore the other 2 until I get there and try to push through procrastination. And so a lot of times people do that in their business too. They're good at PPC, or they're good at content creation, or they're good at the operations, and they focus on those things. And a lot of times the other things get ignored. So I have something called a diagnostic framework. Generally, like we have the KPI. What's a KPI? Click-through rate, conversion rate, sessions, BSR ranking, profitability, ACoS, TACoS, those kinds of things. So step 1 is like seeing the number, what that causes concern. Step 2 is like diagnosis, what could be wrong that's causing that. And then step 3, what pillar and then what fix do we put in place? So like we have so much data from tools, from Amazon even starting to give us more these days. And Amazon's giving us the data. We're tracking the KPIs, but Drew, what do we do with them? So what breaks? Click-through rate under 0.3. Amazon charges you higher CPC. Conversion rate under 10%. ACoS climbs even without perfect targeting. Poor mobile images, missing Cosmo, Rufus optimization, some of the things we all talked about. The cascade, bad main image, low click-through rate, CPC doubles. Week A plus content, visitors bounce, conversion rate drops to 6%. Ad performance decline, increased bids, now all of a sudden your ACoS spirals. You're blaming the ads, but really the ads isn't the problem. So like what if in this example, because it was a bad content creating an advertising problem, what if they had just cut the ads? So you cut ad spend, you lose traffic, you're going to get lost, you're going to lose organic ranking. That's just, they're tied together. You're going to lose sales velocity, and then you're going to end up with even worse profitability. This is why like diagnosing the right thing matters. Don't cut the one thing. I think PPC often gets the bad rap as being like the thing that's broken or the thing that needs fixed or whatever. And it's like, it's really not that. That's why diagnosing the right problem is important. Thinking about like the gym, not everything applies to the same person in every way. I'm a tall, leaner guy. I need a different workout regimen or a different eating regimen than a short, stocky guy. Or you go to the doctor and you tell them, hey, doc, I'm not feeling very well. And they're like, well, have you been smoking? Have you been drinking? Have you been getting good rest? And if you don't tell them the truth, the diagnosis is not going to be correct either. So whether you're diagnosing this yourself or with a therapist or with a doctor, so to speak, in that example, you have to be honest across the board with what's going on so that you can get to the true solution. So just moving really quickly. This is where like low profitability, this is one that I keep bringing up and like Jess again, because it can be all 4 pillars. Profitability is one of the problems that can be all 4 pillars in that one. And that's why it makes it the hardest and why it needs the most focus. It could be FBA fees eating margin. That could be an operation problem. TACoS too high. That could be an advertising problem. Pricing pressure. Maybe you haven't done competitive analysis, seen some other competitors racing. That could be a strategy problem in how you're approaching things overall. High return rate. That could be a content issue. Maybe you're saying a 5-pack and it's a 3-pack or something like this. Maybe you're saying it's strong when it's fragile, right? So COGS too high. We source wrong, or we're not negotiating with suppliers enough. Promos running without ROI tracking, advertising. So profitability to me is the ultimate diagnostic because if margins are shrinking, you need to check every one. So I just have a couple more. This is like a matrix that if you're still following us, you might want to screenshot because I think I'm moving fast, but it's something you can look at after and get a lot of value out of. So like I said, they're all connected. A symptom in one often has its root cause in another. You're seeing advertising struggle, but it might be a content issue. You're seeing your content not convert. It might be a strategy issue. So they really do all affect each other. And this is the matrix that I'm talking about if you guys want a screenshot. But for me, it's helpful when, especially if you're trying to learn this, like once you're a pro and you just fix these problems for 15 years, like some of these things just stand out to you. But if you're newer or you're trying to learn this stuff, you're trying to, like, maybe it's in an area that you haven't focused as much and you're trying to get there, this matrix can help you kind of draw a line to what that might be. So, with high ACoS, it could be broad keywords, it could be low conversion rate, it could be your structure, right? So it could be a little bit of ads and a little bit of content. A low conversion rate is not just content. It could be content, it could be pricing, it could be no reviews, it could be bad reviews, it could be a targeting problem. You're going too broad. So these are all problems. Like these KPIs on the left, I think if you've sold on Amazon at any given time, you've had one of these KPIs that is a problem to you or a concern. And these are the things that you should check for in the middle, not an exhaustive list, but a great start. And then if you're thinking about the pillars in regards to like your team or your VA or your own strengths or your agency strengths, these are the different areas that are involved with solving those solutions. So the last thing I'm going to say is similar to like the thing I was saying, whether you're an agency or you're a consultant or you're a one woman show, you don't need one agency for all 4 pillars, but regardless of your setup, you do need to have one conversation, right? You can't have the content team not knowing what click-through rate means, right? So it is typically an ads KPI because you're thinking about, you're running ads and you're trying to get that click out of search results, but it definitely, the main image, the content team has a part of that. The title, the reviews, strategy, all of that. So your teams, whether you're an agency like mine, and I have to get all my teams on the same page or not, they can't be playing the blame game. So ad team says it's the listing, content team says it's the ads, operations says it's pricing, strategy says it's inventory. If you've ran an agency, that's familiar. But you have to have shared KPIs, shared language, and regular cross-team syncs across that, so you can have one diagnostic framework. What alignment looks like, sharing the data across your teams, making sure every team knows that we're one team and all these things matter to all of us. It's not just his or her job. Shared language, make sure everybody knows the same acronyms that we're all working and striving to. If we're all trying to fix click-through rate and conversion rate as a next 3-month sprint, for example, make sure everybody's on the same page and that they know those goals so that all teams can think about the business together. So that's really it. I'll leave it there in case anyone wants to take a quick screenshot. I know we're up on time, tried to move quick, but really it's just a perspective. What I wanted to share as a perspective is that even if you have great individual teams, they all need to be thinking about some of these problems together. If you're the head, you're the lead on that, bringing them together, making sure the goals are the same, making sure they understand terminology, making sure that you're thinking about all of the different areas that impact a KPI that's important to you so you can get there together. That's it.
Epic. Yeah, good. Really cool, man, Drew. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, my comment there is yeah, everything affects everything, right? And I really love that idea of like, if you and the different businesses that are focused on this one product, it's really about like, how do you improve the business, right? It's not about egos. It's not about your little area. And frankly, if you can share, everyone steps out of that like forest from the trees syndrome, right? And we even see that with brands, like, they love to blame the ads, right? But like sometimes it's like, even outside of everything else, it's the products, right? And you need to do some improvements on that side. So, there's so many things there that impact it. But I love that idea of like getting more perspectives, diagnostics across the
John, just to bring that to like to Andrew's conversation is like, if you're talking to a brand, you're seeing you have a product and a competitor has a product and they're just absolutely crushing it. And you're like, what is going on? We're doing everything the right way. Maybe use SEM's Rush or Smart Scouts Rush, where you can look at the competitors' backend URLs. A lot of times you'll see that they're driving a ton of traffic from off Amazon. And that is the main difference. You're doing everything else right. They're driving off Amazon traffic, and you can show your customer or look at it yourself and see, hey, they're driving it from 40 different backlinks. Some of them are pretty strong. Oftentimes that's the case.
Awesome. Guys, that was amazing share. I want to save, if you can, hang on for a little bit. Let's do a quick speed round on Q&A. So if all of you guys on the panel, if you just want to pick out 1 or 2 questions that are relatable for you that you'd love to answer, let's just do a round. And then we'll close out with like, what is your one thing that you recommend everyone focusing on for 2026? I'll kick off with 2 questions here on my side. I'll go back to Brandon because I didn't answer his questions. Thank you. I think either Andrew or one of the Andrews jumped in and answered some of Brandon's. Oh, I think it was Andrew Morgan's on the PPC side. But from Brandon, I think he was asking the question, how do we ensure that on the Rufus question coverage, how do we focus beyond the FAQ side with our system? It's a really good question. We have a technology that's built that's constantly trying to reverse engineer the type of things that Rufus is looking for answers related to your product and your niche. We certainly look at FAQs. We look at reviews and sentiments in reviews. We actually use, it's no secret, but the LLMs that Amazon use are Anthropic and other ones. So you can reverse engineer off of there as well, and figure out how to answer the right questions by prompting LLMs. So we do that, and then I think the last point there is like the actual semantic mapping. If you do the mapping correctly, that also has Q&A Rufus connections in there. So if it understands that, it really understands how to map you to the right questions and answers as well. So that is a critical piece. Maybe the last one there is you don't have to answer what we found is you don't have to answer every single Q&A style FAQ question for Rufus to connect the dots, right? As long as you answering the 80-20, like what are the main key questions, it is then smart enough in a semantic way to map you to the other typical similar types of questions, right? So if you get the basic structure in place, you're in a good spot. And then, there was a question around variations from Brandon as well. I would say variations, and if you structure your listings differently, that's still pretty an interesting strategy to look at on the organic ranking perspective. But I would say from a Cosmo Rufus LLM structure for discoverability, the one main framework is enough to get you the visibility across your different variations, right? So there's still there's ranking on the typical organic side, and then there's Rufus signaling, right? And they are very different. And last thing there from me is, there is Rufus across most Amazon, marketplaces. Our product specifically is US and UK, with an expansion to Canada and Germany coming soon. But run that ASIN check on that free report at least to see how you're ranking right now and how to improve it. You'll see it there. All right, Jess, couple questions.
Okay, so Martha asked about the brand story and how to get that on your listing. Want to make sure to answer that one because it is critical to getting the rest of those pieces in place. So that lives in the same area as your A+ content. And that is the unlock for adding your premium A+ content. So you need to get that brand story added to your listings. You'll find it there, do that, and then that should unlock your premium A+ where you have access to all those additional modules as well. This one I'm curious. So someone asked about FBM impacting Rufus. So in my opinion, this is opinion. I haven't done a lot of research. Would be curious if anybody else has thoughts on this. But going back to that reliability piece, whereas Amazon in general treats FBA as more reliable than FBM, I would assume, and as we're advising people, that Rufus is treating it the same. So it's that same thing as if you're not consistently in stock, it doesn't treat you as reliable. It's not recommending you as often. I would assume that FBM is the same versus FBA. Not sure if anybody has a different opinion there, but looks like a lot of head nodding.
No knowledge on that.
Yeah.
I would say, I think if you're just FBM, you're going to struggle, right? You've got to have FBA because at the end of the day, Cosmo is trying to have an objective opinion, right? But when it's recommending where skewed towards how Amazon's going to make more money, right? Mm-hmm. So, take that for the pinch of salt that it is.
Actually, a really good call out.
If you're playing the game in what Amazon feels is best so that it can make more money and you're a great partner on that front, you're going to do better.
And then I think the last one that was directed towards me is way too much to answer here, Devendra, but we are connected on LinkedIn. So I'm happy to chat offline with you about that and anyone else. If you're more interested in why I recommend seller over vendor, there are definitely a lot of pieces to that. It depends a lot on your business, and happy to talk through with you, helping to make those decisions.
Good. Great. All right. Andrew Maff.
Yeah, I was answering questions live the whole time. So I think I was over here just chatting with everyone. So I actually got through them. So I guess I'll just kind of leave with like a final thought of, It's definitely a little bit of a conversation we've already had here today of like, the reality is the Amazon is not what it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You can't just throw a listing up now and, start making money. You also can't just like own a couple keywords because everything's gotten really expensive. Like the reality is a lot of competition. The reason that they're doing so well on Amazon is because they have diversified. They've developed some type of other initiative. It could be other sales channels. It could be other marketplaces, or it could be like TikTok, or it could be Shopify. It could be any of the above. But then they have probably also developed other marketing initiatives to help them gain more brand awareness. One thing that you can always do to kind of help figure out like how much off Amazon work is the competitors doing, just do a search on how much search volume is around just their brand name. Because if they're searching for their brand name, chances are they have developed enough brand awareness off Amazon that they don't have to fight for keywords because people are just coming to Amazon searching for their brand name. So the reality is Amazon is becoming such a crowded space that it's obviously getting slightly less attractive because we saw less sellers come onto the platform last year, and it's getting more and more expensive. But the reality is that Amazon is an amazing customer acquisition channel. But if you want your business to survive more than like several years, you have to find ways to develop a relationship with that consumer and focus on lifetime value. And that comes from off Amazon. And that's really the best way for people to use Amazon to discover you. But then you got to find ways to get them into your own ecosystem and control your own future.
100%. Amazon can be your best lead magnet, but what's beyond that is up to you.
Yeah.
Good. Drew.
I don't really see any in there that are just for me. I think I jumped even on somebody else's. So, just happy to share. If anyone, I put my LinkedIn in there. If anyone has any questions, diagnosing, having somebody to help you. Like, I personally got some help this last year from a fractional CFO, like a coach. He came in, coach / fractional CFO, I guess, whatever you want to say. Everybody needs a coach. Sometimes everybody needs someone to just point them in the right area and say, go. And when you're struggling to find, I talked about stop guessing and start diagnosing. Whatever business you're in, and whether it's problems or it's your overall business or whatever it is, sometimes finding that focus, knowing what the real problem is, can make it so much. Problems are problems, but they're easier to attack when you know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's a good one. So guys, thank you so much. I think we'll have one final thought, if you don't mind. I think we can roll from Drew as your final thought was that, and Andrew, but maybe Jess, any final thought there that you want to share around 2026?
Yeah, I think just kind of doubling down on something I said during my presentation, just as a throwaway comment, but being scrappy versus being strategic. We are not in a place, and I think this ties back to what other people have said about how much the landscape has changed and how you can't just throw things up now and expect success. We're no longer in that I'm a scrappy Amazon seller stage. There is still room for pretty much every type of seller, every type of product out there, but you've got to have strategy around what you're doing. You have to work on whether it's the 4 pillars or, whatever your approach is, you have to have some intent behind what you're doing to have success.
That's right. And I was going to say something that kind of leads on from that, which is like, my advice there is like, and as said, sometimes we love the hack, right? Or the shortcuts, but don't use AI as a hack and a shortcut. Like, truly understand it's a beautiful thing to have, but you need to use it in the right way so that you can be more strategic, right? So, make sure that you're doing the real foresight and thinking around how to use it best to get a great result. So, thank you, everyone here. Anybody who has enjoyed today, if you sign up for our newsletter or zonguru.com, you'll get notifications on this. I do one from Zonguru, once every couple of weeks, and then we have this agency behind the curtain secrets webinar series every couple of weeks. So look forward to the next one coming up. I hope everyone enjoyed here. Thank you, guys. This was a great panel. I appreciate it. We'll jump off right now, and we'll follow up on email and connect with you guys. Anybody who's missed this, you will get the recording. And I look forward to future conversations. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.